Today, I'm going to be talking about electronic circuits, more specifically, how this circuit works. But whenever I talk about how I like making circuits, I always get many questions about what that actually means, and I'm going to try to explain some of these things to you now, and also how you could make it yourself if you wanted to. But I realized that before I can show you how this electronic circuit works, I need to tell you what an electronic circuit is if you don't already know. An electronic circuit is a circuit that is a complete course for current flow to flow through in a controlled way. They provide a path for current to flow through individual components such as resistors, capacitors, diodes, and integrated circuits, all connected by conductive wires or traces through which electric current can flow in a controlled way. Now we must talk about what these individual components are and how they work. In general, a good analogy for how all electronics work is a good analogy for explaining how electronics works is explaining it in terms of water. So a wire is like a hose, and the flow of water in that hose is like the flow of electricity in a wire. Anyway, let's start with resistors. A resistor is like if you squeeze a hose or step on it and it resists the flow, which is why it's called a resistor. A capacitor is like a bucket, and if you put a hose in it, it will fill up based on how fast the flow of water is and how big the bucket is. So a capacitor is kind of like batteries, except they hold much less energy normally, and they can also be dumped instantly, and they definitely can't be interchanged in a circuit. That would not work at all. There you can see a few differences between capacitors and batteries. Sometimes people confuse them with each other, but they really aren't very similar at all. A diode is like a one-way valve for electricity. It only allows electricity to flow through it one way. Fun fact, LEDs are a type of diode. LED stands for light emitting diode, and if you ever see anything like this or this, basically any small colored light indicating something on an electronic device, that is most certainly an LED. And finally, there are integrated circuits. They look like this, and it is a miniaturized circuit contained in a single package designed for a specific purpose. Now that you know what all these components do, now we can get on to talking about how this circuit works. Here is the circuit. You can see there and there, both of those are buttons, and that is the only user input on this circuit. There's one button for each player, and the goal of the game is to press your button before the other person does when you see the LED glow in the middle there. So the LED in the middle is automatically turning on and off, and when you see it turn on, you have to try to press the button as quickly as you can, and then if you do press it first, then your LED will glow, and that will signify that you pressed yours first. But how does it actually work? When you press your button, it almost instantly fills up a capacitor and then slowly discharges over a resistor over the capacitor. Then if you put that into a logic inverter, that converts it into a digital output, which then you have a delay circuit. But there is a slight problem with this. If both of you pressed your buttons around the same time, both of your LEDs would glow. So we have to have some sort of feedback loop to invalidate the other side if the first side has been pressed first. So that's what I did. I wired up the output of one side to the input of the inverter on the other side, and vice versa, and that creates a feedback loop, and now it works. And you can make this yourself too if you want to. If you have any questions about this or about circuits in general, just comment them down below. I would love to help you guys. Alright, thanks for watching. Goodbye.